What's going on, everybody? I'm back with another video. This video is going to be why Tottenham are struggling so much and why Wolves are so good this season. Before we get into the tactics behind the match and both teams, check out both my books. They're online on Amazon and there's links in the description below. Also, be sure to check out Keyframe. It's how I'm making this video. There's a link to that in the description as well. Now, Tottenham started the game very poorly and they started with a back three in their initial phase of build-up, but because of the compactness of Wolves in their 5-3-2 for most of the match, but also showing signs of being able to go to a 5-2-3 as we see more of a resemblance of a 5-2-3 system here because of the shifting that has yet to occur in this moment. Either way, Wolves controlled the central areas very well and forced Tottenham's holding midfielders especially to drop into wider areas to then receive the ball with space. This would then be easier for Wolves to shift across the field, isolate possession, and win the ball back. It also gave them worse passing angles into more advanced spaces, with Son, Lucas Moura, and Harry Kane looking to drop into advanced spaces to then break lines and get the ball. But from a wider position, it became harder for Tottenham to access these points, which didn't allow them to create very much from their possession. Now we see the complete shape of Tottenham Hotspur in possession in the midfield third. We have our back five with our wing backs creating single width. We have a flexible two holding midfielders with then Lucas Moura, Harry Kane, and Heung-min Son as the front three, with Lucas Moura and Heung-min Son looking to play more between the lines and try and break lines of Wolves, but that also became very hard because of the use of the cover shadows of Jimenez and Podence to cut off access to the holding midfielders or the deeper midfielders of Tottenham, and then the midfield three shifting across, also controlling very well the spaces between the lines, while the back five of Wolves were able to jump into these key areas because of their three central defenders, giving them more flexibility to jump into these situations, as well as keep a man advantage against Harry Kane. Even after Spurs changed their shape and went in possession of the ball in the second half, they moved to a back four, and it was really halfway through the first half where they changed their shape to go with a back four and still a four-man midfield looking to control both half spaces, but now Heung-min Son played a more advanced role in increasing the number of players between the lines, with Harry Kane and Heung-min Son playing off of each other in more central roles. It put Wolves in a situation where they had to absorb a bit more pressure, which led to their tactical change in the second half. They started the half in a 5-3-2, but when Spurs started building and getting more chances, they would then go with a midfield four to give them more control over these dangerous areas and over the weak side, especially when they would shift into wide areas. So as we see, after the tactical change, Wolves went with a midfield four and a back five with a lone forward as Raul Jimenez, which then allowed for a more balanced defensive approach. And although Tottenham were able to then circulate the ball easier with their back four against Raul Jimenez and the jumping wide players of Wolves, it gave them more control in more dangerous areas, which, with a 2-0 lead, was much more important for the Wolves team. Wolves built from the back using three central defenders, one holding midfielder, with then Dendoncker playing more as a number 8, often able to drop in to create a double pivot and then allow a player like Podence or a wide player to come in between the lines through the half space, or Wolves could be versatile enough to use dual width with a wingback and a winger in the wide areas to then manipulate Tottenham's shape. To start the match, Tottenham went with a 5-2-3, but would quickly change about 25 minutes into a 4-4-2 to then give them more control and more pressure in advanced areas. And we see the last picture of them using their 5-2-3, with then the central defender jumping into the midfield, breaking the defensive connection because Dendoncker, he drops deeper, but the central defender no longer needs to jump because this player is irrelevant when he goes so far down closer to his first line of possession. We then see the wingback and the winger creating dual width to give them advantage over Spurs and force Spurs to defend in a wider area in their 5-2-3, which becomes a staggered 5-4-1. So then with Harry Kane trying to split the field and force the ball to one side, it's crucial that Spurs' back line is intact and doesn't offer them any release from the pressure in behind, which as we see here, we have Raul Jimenez and the winger for Wolves both running in behind, accessing the space left by the jumping central defender in a situation that doesn't elicit him to jump. And Raul Jimenez gets on the goal side, or the ball side I should say, of the central defender of Tottenham, giving him and the winger superiority to then get the ball in behind. Now the last picture of Wolves in possession sees Dendoncker coming deeper as a double pivot between central defenders, creating a staggering and diagonal passing connections between the first and second line. But then we see the tactical change from Spurs, putting them in a 4-4-2 to try and get higher pressure up the field, get better access to the holding midfielders while creating faster shifting to then press quicker and try and win the ball back higher up the field, which did improve their tactical setup, especially in possession as well, but it wasn't enough to get them back in the match. And that's where we're going to wrap up the analysis. I hope you guys enjoyed it, and I'll see you in the next one.